First of all, it's the end of the school year, and my room is a hot mess of disaster. But I thought I'd show you a quick room tour because I never did one this year. And then what are my hopes and dreams for next year that I'm already playing with in my head that I want to get my room ready for next year. Even though I said next year and then I... So my classroom is a flaming heap of disaster right now. We're missing a lot of things. I'm missing cove base on my wall. I'm cleaning stuff out, so I have all these tools back here and I'm trying to get those organized. Even my camera's crooked right now, but it's the end of the year. So it happens. Get crooked camera. That made no sense. That was real dumb. And I love this part of the year because I love cleaning things out. I love getting rid of old stuff. Those half-used markers and the pencils that someone chewed and left in your drawer and you're not really sure how they got in there. Any trash that you can find, like wiping things down, cleaning things out and getting them ready so that when I come back next year, I'm not starting from scratch. It's kind of like when you want to wash last night's dishes before you do dinner tonight. Because no one wants to wash dishes, then cook with a lot of dishes, and then make a lot more dishes. And although I don't really do dishes or cook because I'm painfully slow at both, and my wife usually just gets aggravated halfway through and then tells me to stop and, move over and she'll take over. I'm not saying I do those things slow on purpose so that she does that, but there's a slight chance that happens. Anyway, here's a few quick interesting things about my room that I just wanted to tour around, and then I'll tell you about what exactly I'm sort of dreaming of for next year. So those of you that have been watching my videos, you know that I have these floating bookshelves on the wall over here. I love these, but one of the problems is it's hard to keep them sort of organized. So my hope for next year is to make them organized. I used to have labels on all of them for like historical fiction or horror or mystery or fantasy, that sort of thing. But those labels have come off and the books have gotten mixed up. And part of the reason for that is that not all the books fit on the shelves that are dedicated to them. Like this. So this shelf works well. These are like all the Artemis Fowl books and they fit perfectly on this shelf. But if I want to put anything larger on this shelf, some of those books are just too big and you can't fit them on the shelf. So my hope this summer is to be able to make a few new shelves and make them larger for certain sections, because certain books seem to be, like science fiction books just seem to be of a certain size for some reason in my room. Or if I get a bunch of small paperbacks like Michael Crichton books, they just all fit on these little shelves, but not all of them fit on all the shelves I need them to fit on. I also have like, some of the shelves are sort of bowing now because I just made them out of what's called MDF, which is a particle board. It's not super strong, but I know how to support that and I'm gonna fix that this summer as well. In the front of my classroom, so I have a Promethean board that I used this year, but I used it more like a TV than I did anything else because, to be honest, Promethean, your videos online are not very good and they don't really tell people how to use the board, and the board itself is not very intuitive. So it's not easy to just sort of figure out and navigate like I feel like Apple products are. So my hope this summer is to be able to look more into the Promethean board, figure out how to use it, and then hopefully make some videos next year on how to use this for the rest of you that are sitting there going, yep, it's a really nice interactive television that I have in my classroom. And I have just one whiteboard in my room. I wish I had more than one. I share my room with sometimes two other teachers that just come in for a period or two to teach in here. And if you have something you want to keep on your whiteboard, that's really difficult when someone else is about to use your board. My hope is to either get a larger whiteboard that goes all the way to the door, or I have another idea for a whiteboard as well. And I'll show you that idea in just a second. The next is all of this artwork up here I want to talk about real quick. So in the front of my room, this is kind of a weird angle to be on here. I have all of this artwork up here. That artwork is for all of the books that I read in a given year. Now I did this because I couldn't find posters that I wanted, and posters are really expensive and they just look the same as everybody else's room. So what I thought I would do was just draw all of this. I have a whole nother video, I'll link it up at the top here and show you exactly how I did this, but it's essentially just taking my projector, projecting pictures on the wall, drawing it out, and then finding titles that I liked or wording that I liked. I'd put the words in like a Google Doc or something, shine that up on the wall, and then just trace it. So I'm not really that good of an artist, but I'm a really good tracer. However, next year, I'm changing some of these books. So of Mice and Men, they moved to the 8th grade, which is really kind of sad because it's one of my favorite books to read. Persepolis proved to be a little bit too difficult for some classes. There was too much learning on the front end about everything from the Iranian Revolution to who was Gandhi to it was a lot of front-end information that I felt like I was spending more time explaining things that happened in the book so the students could understand the story than I was like really getting deep into the story. So I think I'm going to switch that one up next year. So I need to take those out and then replace them with something else. Now, not exactly which books are going to be replacing them next year. I get to pick that myself. Largely, there's a conversation going on with our curriculum specialist. I should have that by the end of the summer, and then I'll know what picture to put up there. For some of you that have been following me for a while, I never shoot this angle, right? Let me break it down like this. If I shoot my classroom, I shoot it like this. I shoot it like this. I shoot it like this. I'll shoot at my desk over there. I'll even go so far, hope I'm not making people sick here, as to shoot it like this, which is always tricky because someone could just come in the door and then that's weird. But I do not shoot this side of my room. And the reason for that is it's ugly. And this is why it's ugly. When our school was created, my current classroom was thought to be a small library for students. This was the technology laboratory. So like these doors open, the computers are on the other side of this, there's a window to see through. So you could close the doors and have two separate rooms if you needed to for meeting space or to run different classes or projects. But largely, it was supposed to be a through space here. We ran out of classroom space, like a lot of schools do, and so now this is my classroom. But when we read silently, when we do any kind of quiet work, or when I'm super loud, I can hear or be heard by everyone in that room. So if we are doing SSR reading, it's only separated by these doors which have a crack in between them, and you can hear literally everything anyone's saying. Or kids like to look through this window. Even though we put a curtain up there, they're always peeking through and it creates a distraction and it's a pain in the butt. So for 5 years, I've been asking to have this fixed, and finally this year, they started taking down some of this stuff. They moved everything on the other side, and this is going to become a solid wall this summer. That's my hope. Anyone in education knows they could tell you one thing and they might do something different. And I don't know why, and I'm not here to judge. I get that we're like dreaming on a budget here, but I'm really hoping this happens this summer. And if it does, my dream would be to do this. For one, even though this is right by my door, this is a very this is a very dark corner of my room. I would love to have under shelf lighting on all these books, or lighting that shines up on the books, because I think the more attractive your books look, the more kids want to pick them up. It looks like a pretty area, and so let's go over and look at the pretty thing. So I want to make it pretty. But I would need an electrical outlet on this wall to be able to do that. Then my idea would be to put a whiteboard that was enormous on the side wall. I read a study once that said that students, this was in a math class, but I think I can make it work for my class, that are standing around a room all at a whiteboard doing work, that helps because there's no one in your direct eye line. You're standing at the wall, you're doing work, the teacher can see if you're doing work, they can stand up without being all up in your grill or sort of leaning over you, and they can see, because you're writing it on the board, whether or not you're doing it right, whether or not you need help. And then you can see who's finished also. So maybe someone's finished, you can send them over to someone else. Maybe someone is not done because they look like they're struggling with it. You know who that person is without having to walk over to that student and make them nervous. And you're sort of surveying the classroom from afar. I'd love to be able to do that. With a larger whiteboard in the front and with a big whiteboard on the side, I could fit a lot more students up at the board. And it would be fun for like games and activities.
Can we turn our beds into bunk beds?
And here's the thing, it'll give us so much extra space in our room to do activities.
And even to put student work up, like have a space to like hang things up, like projects and stuff like that. I tried doing that this year with this bulletin board in the back, but it's just not enough space to hang everything from. So I think with this whole wall as a space to be able to do that, it'll be awesome. Plus, it'll be so much quieter in my room. I am just as loud as my man, Mr. Hasty, is next door. We both have like pretty booming voices and are always being loud and interactive and kind of crazy. Putting us both next to one another is just like two loud neighbors that sometimes cancel one another out and sometimes are just too much for one another. I love you, Haste. I got interrupted in the middle of that and now I don't remember what I was talking about. So let's just move on to the next thing. Next thing I'd love to change next year is, well, this sad couch. I love having a couch in my room. Gives the kids a place to sit down when we do independent reading, and they can sit anywhere that they want. Kids often love sitting on the couch, many times, multiple children than actually looks comfortable. But I mean, this thing's like, it's all ripped up. This cushion has like pretty much no stuff to it, and it's pretty gross and dirty. It was a prop in a play. We did the piano lesson several years ago. They didn't have anywhere to put the couch afterwards, so I took it, but now it just looks all gross and weird. If I can figure out a new couch, maybe I'll get one. If anybody out there has a couch, you live in the tri-state area, we're open to donations. So I also have like stuff I want to get rid of and things that broke that I'm gonna just fix myself. So for instance, like I have this cool white cabinet over here. It lights up when you open it, and it has like this weird timer thing on the side that everyone likes to dial. That has nothing to do with anything. I'm not even sure I told everyone that, but I did. So anyway, I'm gonna get that out. I think I'm gonna just take it home for now until I can find a space for it. I'd love to put it up on my wall and use it for something, but I just don't have any open wall space to put it because I have stuff everywhere. Also, I have this track over here that I use for kids to plug in their phones. At the end of the school year, the decision that I think they're gonna make is that we're gonna become a cell phone free school, right? So that students are not allowed to have cell phones. And so I get the good and bad implications of this, and that's maybe a whole nother video about how I feel about that. But so it's like I have this big giant plug and it's there so the kids aren't distracted by their phone, so they plug it in and they just leave it over here. Maybe I leave it there, maybe I don't really know. But that's on my mind. I don't like having anything in my room that I'm not going to use anymore. This isn't hoarders. Even though I have all this stuff in my room, I like that minimalist feel where everything's in its place and everything has a place kind of a thing. So we'll see what happens with that. And that brings us to all of this madness. Chair is very low right now because my students mess with the chair all the time. I don't really know why they do it. I mean, who wants to sit this low? I feel like I need a booster seat. Anyway, I have all this stuff because I made this organizer a few years ago. I love it. But some of it has become like a junk collection place. So like this container up here, I don't have like containers for all the stuff that's in it. So it's just like things of markers, giant box of markers that they're not even standing up anymore. They're just kind of like sitting in there and look like a flaming pile of crap. Color pencils are fairly in order. And then just other random stuff like this box of wheels. I don't always remember why I got the stuff that I got, but I got the stuff that I got. Thumbtacks. This is a kind of cool idea. I put a little bit of dish soap in this little squirty thing, and when I need to wash out my cups, 2 different coffee cups, school one, and this one with me and my daughter, and I'm a unicorn. So if I need to wash these out, I just have a little bit of dish soap at school. So I want to get these stand-up containers. Let's put a picture of these up here, like this. So I want to get these containers to keep all the markers in one thing, all the colored pencils in another thing, and that just makes it easier when we're doing group work than handing out all of these random containers. And then those will sit neatly inside of this drawer thing that I bought, and it'll look cool. Up top here, I have like this spinny thing that someone gave to me for free. Shout out to Yonkers' sister and brother-in-law, giving me that thing for free. And then a lot of old jokes, styrofoam heads that used to be my teaching assistants, and bow and arrow and all this other crap. I need to find a place to actually display this stuff, to use it. But like everything else in my room, like if you look at my room, almost everything is out of reach of the students. So the posters are up high, the board drawing thing is up high. I like to keep that out of the reach of the students because if students can grab something, they will grab something. Same reasoning I push my plate back on the table so the dog doesn't jump up and try and lick my plate or eat my food. And yes, sometimes I compare children to animals. Do I mean that they're animals? No. But is it a good metaphor? Yes. Because the kids will eat your food that's on your plate if you leave it laying around. As for the rest of my room, I have a bunch of stuff like sitting around on windowsills that I haven't hung up all year. I have a lot of repairs that need to be made, but although we have a really great maintenance man, he's overly busy. And if he's already fixing my whole wall this year, I feel like that's more than I can ask. So there is cove base in my room that's just sitting around. It's been there for like a year, so I'm just gonna replace it myself. There's some scuff marks on the wall. I'll just go find some spackle in the building, put it on there, sand it. I'm gonna find the paint and paint it myself. Chunks that are missing on the rug, I usually just like snip off all the strings and then I put like some duct tape or gaffer tape over top of it. That stuff fixes everything. And then I have some crazy ideas of new stuff that I want to do, but I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet. Thought about putting some more like sort of art installation-ish things in here that aren't necessarily for learning, but they just look cool. Some new lights in areas, But it really comes down to like your summer feels like it is infinitely long. But then once you get going and you're doing stuff and you're with the family, and before you know it, it's 4th of July, and before you know it, it's the 5th of July if you're from anywhere outside of the United States. But it just goes a lot quicker than you think it's going to. So it's trying to find projects that fit into that amount of time. I think that's the gist of it. And my lights just went off because they're on a motion sensor, and when I sit at my desk, the lights go off a lot of times. And I end up throwing things to make them come back on, and that doesn't always work, and it just makes a mess all over my floor. So look, I have a question for you. In the comment section below, would you mind saying, is there anything you're planning on doing this year? Anything you're excited about already at the end of the year that gets you excited thinking about next year? Like, what are you going to do to your classroom, your cart, your corner, your wall, your closet that you teach in? I'd love to know about it. Don't forget to sign up for our Real Rap with Reynolds Teacher Talk on Facebook. It's a closed Facebook group that's free. And join us every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Sunday Night Teacher Talk, where I do live teacher talks and I answer all of your questions. That's it, everybody. Enjoy your summer. Peace.